welcome to another session with me. Now, I've been doing a series of sessions. I believe all of them are available in your college student dashboard and also on the YouTube channel. So please remember to go back and watch them in a sequence, because I'm doing this in a specific sequence. It's like a series of tutorials. All of them are linked with each other. So today I'm going to talk about project communication, which is a continuation of the two sessions we did previously about project management. So after the session on project management, I've got some questions. Based on those questions, I'm kind of evolving the sessions I do here. One of the questions which came up multiple times was, well, we have project management, but obviously you can't manage things unless you have proper communication tools. And many students are asking me, okay, so how do we deal with communication, especially with smaller or bigger teams when you have people working from home or things like that? So that is where I decided, okay, the continuation of project management should be project communication. There are multiple tools available today for project communication. Today, I'm talking about Discord. Now, as Dr. Wilson was mentioning, the word Discord obviously means, there is some kind of disturbance in the force. And that's the whole point of the software name here, Dr. Wilson. So using this software, we can avoid the Discord, sir. I think that is the way, that is why the name came up with. I know how people say, when you have good communication and clarity, a lot of problems in life and relationships and business can be resolved as long as the communication channels are open. And I'm sure everybody knows about this. Like, whenever there's an argument with anybody, whether it is with your professor or a loved one or a family member, it's always because there is some misunderstanding and the other person or you is unable to speak for whatever reason. But at least in project communication, by keeping these communication channels open, you can avoid whatever discord you might you face in a project management situation. So first thing is, what is project communication? So let me just move on to the next slide here. I made it full screen because that is how majority of the viewers want it. So first question, project communication. So again, as continuing from the previous workshop, when we are doing project management, in an ideal scenario, you're already using some kind of a software for that. And then there is always a need for all the members to chat or talk or discuss with each other. Okay, so in any manager, you will have at least one project manager, and you'll have different team members. Of course, in a bigger project, you may have like a project manager at the highest level, then you may have middle managers, and then you have junior managers or junior developers, and so on and so forth. So the idea here is all of them should be able to interact with each other. And the thing is, you must have some kind of transparency, some kind of ease of communication, because in modern project development, the idea is everybody has to contribute in a specific way. So ideally, everyone should be able to speak with everybody. At the same time, whatever decisions are taken at the higher level, they have to be, trickle down to everybody. And all of this should happen in a very low cost or free and at a high speed. So that is what I really call project communication. So for example, again, let's say, for example, this workshop is being organized by somebody at AIU. So they will probably have some project manager for these workshops. And then let's say Dr. Watson is reporting to that person, or Dr. Watson himself is responsible for this entire project of all these weekly workshops that AIU does. So Dr. Watson should be able to communicate with everybody who is involved. Like I'm involved, there are a lot of other speakers involved. Obviously, there are assistants from the university who are involved. So Dr. Watson should be able to communicate easily with all these folks so that the project, whatever plan is being made, that is being communicated in the right way. So whatever you use to get your project happening, that is called project communication. And like with everything else, if communication is not clear, it can lead to confusion. It can lead to all kinds of problems. So you may have a very, very good plan, but if you are unable to communicate with everybody who's part of the project, or you're unable to collect responses, you're unable to collect feedback and those things, then simply because there is a communication failure, your entire project might collapse. So you might have a great project management system in place, but if you're not able to communicate, you might lose your project anyway. So that is what I like to call project communication, right? Dr. Watson, was that clear to you, sir? Does that definition make sense to you? Because you're obviously managing a lot of projects at AIU, sir.
Yes, everything is clear, very easily understood on my end.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Thank you, sir. So moving on, folks. So now that we have an idea why project communication is so important, let's start with today's software. Now, before I jump into Discord itself, I want to mention that in all the projects I've been part of. Now, in the beginning, Dr. Watson said that I have been involved in the software developer system for a while. I've been doing this on and off since I started my MBA. In MBA, it was always about project management every day, every week. We were, our students, we were given so many projects, and we had to use project communication on a daily basis, because you know how it is in MBA. Like, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every week. There are like 3, 4 different groups, 3, 4 different projects. We had to communicate with each other all the time, even though we are all on the same campus. All of us are spread out all over the campus, and it is a big campus. Some of us are working from the library, some of us are working from our rooms, some of us are working from the classroom. Even though we're on the same campus, very rarely did we get to meet, because there is so much happening. So communication is so important. Now, in those days, we used to use Skype. I don't know how many people use Skype today. I don't think Skype is like hip anymore. I think even I have stopped using Skype, but when we were younger, I'm talking 2006, try to imagine a younger version of me without the beard and all. So that's me. So we used to use Skype, guys. That was what we used to use back in those days. But of course, times have changed, things have changed. I don't use Skype anymore. A lot of people don't use Skype anymore. So today, some brands which you can think of when you start working, or even in your campus or something, or maybe after today, you'll start using them, because you should be using these things. So one thing which I use is Discord. So there you go. At the end of the session, the session usually 45 minutes, and then I'm going to talk, take some questions. I will show you how we are using Discord in our own project. So right now I'm involved in 1, 2, 3 different projects. So I'm going to show one of the Discord boards where I am the owner. So I'm going to give you a quick glimpse about Discord. So Discord is one tool that we are using. Second one, which you may have heard about or even used, is Slack. I don't know if you guys know about it. Dr. Watson, sir, you may have heard about Slack, maybe in the news, or you may have used it yourself. That is another option. Slack is very popular.
I'm not very familiar with that one, but I use the Discord occasionally.
Oh, okay. Dr. Watson already uses Discord. Yes, I like it. Thank you, sir. Okay, all right. So there you go, guys. So Slack is one option which really is very popular in the office spaces and so on. More work oriented, like I think that make a. So, and then obviously the third option is Microsoft Teams, and obviously Microsoft is very big in the office situation. So they have a nice similar software for project communication. So there you go, my dear students. So for my audience, there are 3 options for you. You have Discord, you have Slack, and then you have Microsoft Teams. So these are the 3 main services that are available today if you're trying to add a nice communication to your project. And even if you're not using it right now, just for the sake of it, you can start using them hopefully after today's session, because of what I told you. Now, why am I choosing to go with Discord? Why am I not using Slack, or why am I not talking about Microsoft Teams? Now, I might speak about it eventually at some point in the future, but I'm choosing Discord mainly because I work as a tutor and I work as a consultant. So most of my life revolves around students, interacting with students, and so on and so forth. So especially for the youngsters, the younger crowd, and so on, and so young people, teenagers, and also anybody who's in a university, Discord is something people start using from a young age. So I personally like Discord mainly because that is where my students live. So if I was not a tutor or a mentor kind of guy, if that was not my profession, I would probably use Slack or Microsoft Teams. But because I live in the education industry, Discord is something which a lot of young people prefer. So that is why I use Discord. Otherwise, Discord, Slack, Microsoft Teams, they all do the same thing. Another reason, of course, is Discord is definitely very, very free. Okay, so there's no charges whatsoever for Discord. The limitations of Discord are very, very less when compared to Slack and Microsoft Teams. Now, this is kind of important because you have to understand, as I mentioned before, Slack and Team, they are more in the office scenario, whereas Discord is more aimed at youngsters who won't be able to pay for things anyway, even if they want to. So that is another reason why I lean toward Discord. Even though it was not designed for project communication, we use it for project communication mainly because it has a lot of free things going on, a lot of features available without any charges. So that's another reason why I decide to go with Discord. Okay, so that is the main thing about Discord. Like it's free, it is easy to use, it has all the features that we expect, and the best part is once you're finished college and you start working and things like that, it is very easy for you to switch from Discord to Slack or Microsoft Teams and so on and so forth. So these are the different reasons I use Discord when compared to other systems. Professor, any questions about why I chose Discord, sir? If there are no questions, I will move on to the next item.
You may proceed, Jay. I have no question at this time. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Professor. So, all right, guys. So the next, one thing you should have to know is, as I mentioned in my previous workshop, whatever app or software that you use, it is very important that it is available on different platforms, because not everybody in the team may be using the same platform. I always use the Zoom example because that is how all of you are talking to me. Like on Zoom, I'm right now talking to you on my iPad Air because it has a nice camera and you can see and hear me properly. At the same time, my presentation is happening and I'm just pointing at it because I can't really show it to you. So that is my Windows computer, where again Zoom is running and I'm able to share my PowerPoint presentation and so on and so forth. So whatever app and service you choose to use, please understand that it has to be available in all the platforms. This is very, very important. Okay, so that is the thing with Discord as well. It is available obviously on all mobile apps, Android, iPhone, whatever you're using. It is available as app for iPad, Android tablets. It is also available as apps on Windows and Mac. And of course, if you don't want to do any of these things, you can just directly log into Discord by going to the Discord website. Now, for me personally, when you're talking about using technology for project management, project communication, this kind of flexibility is very important because, again, let's take the example of Dr. Walson. So he's the project manager of this project about workshops. He has to do all kind of administrative tasks, settings, this, that, permissions, and all that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Obviously, he needs to have full access. So he will be more comfortable logging into the main Discord on the browser where all the features are available. However, a student who's just participating in the project may be happy to simply interact with Professor Walson and other students. So they will be much more comfortable with getting all the communication done from their mobile app, where there's, like a 5-inch screen, 6-inch screen, and so on and so forth. Now, this kind of flexibility is so important. And that is something which is, again, available with Discord. So if you're a student, you just use your mobile phone, no problem, get all the communication done and everything. If you're a professor, if you're a teacher, if you're an administrative department, you have nothing to worry because you can simply go ahead and do all your advanced tasks and so on and so forth. That is another reason why I like these, project communication software. Now, I must note the same features are available in Slack and Teams as well. Now, I keep mentioning other apps because, guys, if you're already about to get into office life or something, you have to understand, for an office, company, or a professional environment, Discord may not be the ideal option. So when you're a student, which is what I assume all of you are right now, start by using Discord, okay? Get used to it, and eventually upgrade to Teams or Slack, which is what your company might ask you to use anyway. So that's another thing I liked about Discord. One more reason why I really enjoy these things is, of course, like obviously when you look around the world, I don't know how many people realize this, but everything in this world is designed for younger people. Okay, many people don't realize this. When you look at movies, once you're like 30 or something, you start complaining like, oh, I don't understand. What is this? What is this? I mean, a new movie comes, you don't understand. A new car is released, you don't understand. Anything new is always aimed at younger people. That's how the entire world works. Like for example, once you're like 25, finish university, all you can think about is, finding a partner and having a child. Why is that? Because that's how the world works. So these today, as I'm talking to you, things like chat systems, how in the olden days, we had a meeting, we would come and talk. You want to discuss something, you pick up your phone and talk or meet face to face. These days, younger people rarely talk directly. It's always, through chat. I've seen people talking to each other, like even when they meet in person, through their chat apps. It is so bizarre, but that's the world we live in. So, ultimately, all these things are about the younger people. You're all in the university, you're learning, you're interacting with students. So again, it's all about chat systems. So you are, naturally, most people are used to these things. So it is so easy to make them use Discord. So if you are thinking of becoming a project manager, then one benefit is you don't have to teach people how to use Discord. You can just go ahead and just sign up an account and invite them, and they can start joining and communicating. So you don't have to teach. So that's the best part. Okay. I mean, I remember when I was younger, we had to teach people how to use Skype. It was a big, big headache. Okay. But now that's not a problem anymore. So that's another reason why I like Discord. So any questions, Professor? Otherwise, I'll keep going on.
I'm doing just fine. Thank you, Jay. May continue.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so the next thing is, now this is specifically for folks who are thinking, like I'm a project manager, or, maybe you have student groups and things like that. And you are like, okay, after watching this video, you are like, okay, you know what, guys, I watched the Jess previous video where he was talking about Trello and all those things, and I'm ready to implement some project communication. So you need to know, what are you getting for free and what are the limitations? And how does it work if you're crossing those free features? Now, this is a common thing that you have to decide with anything that you use for your project performance and so on and so forth. So let's talk about the many, many features here with Discord. And I'll also start pointing out which is free and which is not free. Now, the first and simple thing is creating an account, whatever service you're trying to use, whether it is email, whether it is I don't know, buying something online, things like that. Whatever it is, the first step is you will have to go ahead and create an account, right? So obviously, just like email, creating an account for Discord is easy. Now, why is this important? Now, this is important because, look, let's say you're creating a team. Again, I'll take Dr. Walson's example. So he's creating a team to manage all these workshops. Dr. Walson has no idea how many people might end up being part of the project. So it may be 10 people, it may be 100, it may be 500, it may be 1,000. So imagine if each account costs some money. Now that is already a barrier, which is impossible even for a large organization. So that becomes impossible to manage. So that is why, one of the cool things is, of course, with Discord and other things, you don't have to worry about paying for everybody who joins. In fact, every user, they can just create a Discord account as if they are creating an email account. So that has no relationship with the community features of Discord. Now, that is the main thing I really want to talk about. Now, this is where, Dr. Walson, I am going to switch from my presentation, sir, and I am going to quickly log into one of my Discord servers. Okay, so just give me 1 minute here, Professor.
All right. Take your time.
So the key feature, my student. So 1 second, Professor. I'm just getting into one of my Discord servers. Guys, this is how Discord looks. I'm just showing it on the screen right now. There you go. When you visit the Discord website, this is how it is going to look. Okay, and then once you go in, I'm already logged in. But you may have to create an account and log in. So I'm going to now open Discord. Okay, here we go. And I'll go into one of my own servers. Yes, okay. Okay, Dr. Watson, there you go. So do you see what I have on my screen right now? Now, okay, all right. So now what you are seeing here, my dear students, is this is what is called on the top right corner. I put a small pop-up. I dropped it. Let me just show it again. So this is what I call a Discord server. Now, please understand, Discord is divided into two portions. One, you have your direct communication, like how you chat on WhatsApp or Skype if you're still using it. Okay. Second option is the server features. Now, server feature is what we are really talking about here. Okay, server feature is where we are doing project communication. All right, so there you go. This is my own server created for my own students, and it is an open server, so anybody can really join. So if you go, as I said many times, if you just Google my name, you can go to my blog and you can join my server if you want, although I only use it for demonstration purposes. So there you go. This is how a Discord server looks like. So when you start using project communication in your own project, what you will do is step number one, you will go ahead and create, let me resume. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what you do really is, first step, you will go ahead and create a Discord account. And then the second thing that you would do is actually go ahead and create a Discord server. Now the server is where you do all your member communication. Okay, so first step, you create the account, and second step, you create a server. Okay, now you may be thinking, okay, server, when you think of server, you're probably thinking of like a website server or a database server. And this server is not really like that. Think of it more like a communication space. Okay, for those of you who have seen my previous session about Trello, I told you in Trello we had this thing called boards, and then for every project you would have a separate board. Similarly, for every project you would have a separate server. Okay, that's really how it works. I don't think there's any limit on how many servers you can create. So you can just create as many servers you want. Maybe there is some limit, but again, you may not need more. I mean, I only have one server. That's all I use. So there you go. So you may not need more than a few servers to get your project done. So ideally, what you would do is imagine like this, okay? So step number one, you start a project. Okay, it could be like, again, using Dr. Walson's example, these AIU workshops is one project. So Dr. Walson will then go ahead and create like a board on Trello, and then immediately Dr. Walson will go ahead and create a server. Again, don't let this confuse you with server like web server or something. This is more like a space. Create a Discord server for the workshops. And then what Dr. Walson will do is he'll start inviting the university people, teachers and everything. So everybody is in that space. So now all of them can look at all the information being shared in the Discord server. Dr. Watson, does that make sense, sir? What I'm trying to use the example and everything. Okay, very good, very good. So once again, guys, let me switch from my PowerPoint and go back to my Discord server. Now here, so as I now hopefully you understand now. So there are different spaces, okay? These are different spaces for different projects. Now you can see here on my screen right now, I don't think I have an option to zoom it, so you just have to see it. You'll see here on the left side, I'm currently part of different servers. Many of them are public. So again, my server is public. It's nothing to do with my client or something. So I can just show you. So this is a space. I think I mentioned I have a award from Microsoft. So this is that community. This is that Discord server for all those people who have got the Microsoft MVP award. So that's another server. I'm a gamer as well. So there you go, Xbox, a big company, right? You can imagine Xbox is a big company. They must have millions of users and all of them can join. So this is what I'm really talking about. So the very cool thing about Discord is it is free and it can handle any number of users, and a lot of these things are totally free. Okay, so as I mentioned in the Trello workshop, you don't really need to use these things only for official things, okay? You can use the modern project management tools for personal things as well, okay? If you have a birthday party coming up, you can use Trello to create a birthday party Trello board, and then you can create a Discord server for the birthday party, invite everybody who is coming. You can share photos, you can share announcements, you can share information. Obviously, if you're in a university, you're working on some kind of a workshop, right? Again, if you are the project leader, then you create the Discord server. Maybe there are 10 people. In India, what happens is, I told you in MBA, every week, our MBA was like super tight, like we had so much thing. Many times we were only sleeping for 3-4 hours. That's how strict it was. So every week there was a new project, marketing project, finance project, operations project, English communication project. We even had a food eating project because they had to teach us how to eat food when we attend business meetings. It was crazy. So there you go. Everything can be a project. And for every project, every group really, you can start creating Discord servers. And this is how it looks. One more thing I want to show you is, if I go back to my server, you'll see that on the left side, there are these things here. And I've given them different titles and everything. So what is this about? Now, this is what is called as channels. Okay. So what really happens is, if you have, when you use Discord, you create a space. Imagine it's like a building, like when you go to university or something, you have like a big building, and then within that large campus, you have different departments. It's like when you go to like a mall or something, you have the floor where you have food and cafeteria. You have another floor which is only filled with electronic shops. Another floor, all kind of fashion and apparel and stuff like that. And last floor in the top is the movie floor with the multiplex and everything, right? So even a single mall, you have different divisions. So same thing will happen with your project management group as well. So the channels is how you divide the space inside your discussion area. So that's what I have done here. Okay, so similarly, like for example, again using Dr. Watson as an example, so there may be a channel which is only for tutors. And the good thing is Discord has what is called as permissions. So the project owner, the Discord server owner, can decide who can see what. And that is very important, because there will be some things which only some people should be able to interact with. There'll always be some things which everybody should be able to interact with. It's like when you go to the movie theater, there'll be a board which says staff only, manager only, things like that. So same thing you can do in the Discord. So in the same server, you can create channels where everybody who is in the server can see everything. Now this is useful for announcements like, hey guys, next class is on Monday. Next workshop is this. Click on this link. You can share whatever you want, images, videos, links, anything you want. And then you can announce things. So obviously announcements are public. So maybe you'll create a public channel. But of course, then again, in the same Discord server, there may be some communication which has to go only to the tutors or presentations, stuff like people like me. So there may be a separate channel called for tutors only, where only I and people like me have permission to read. Like that is where we discuss things like, before the presentation starts, PowerPoints, notes, discussions, feedback, private matter. So there's another nice thing I like about Discord. You can create these channels and you can decide who can see what. Now, for me, this is very important, right? Like I'm sure you guys understand, those of you who have worked in groups and things like that, how some things you don't want everyone to know. I mean, that is not some criminal activity or secret. It's just that some things, should only be known to some people, and some other things should only be known to some other people. So there you go, my dear students. That is another feature I really like about Discord. So being able to create different channels and being able to set specific permissions, so only those who are supposed to see can see what they're supposed to see. So I hope that kind of makes sense, even in a real project situation. Dr. Watson, does it make sense? So the whole channel thing, permissions and controlling what can be seen and all that.
Crystal clear, Jake. Everything is
okay,
fine.
excellent, Professor Tom. Okay.
All right.
So I'll continue. I'll go to the next thing, which is also important, guys. Now you will see here on the left side. Again, I'm not going back to the slide yet. You'll see that there is something called voice channels. Now, for me personally, this is kind of like very, very useful feature, especially when I'm dealing with, again, sometimes, you have channels where you can chat, you can make announcements, you can react, you can talk back, you can share things. However, there is always occasions where maybe something is really important and you can't do it through a chat thing. So that is when, it is preferable if you go ahead and just speak live together. Now, why is this? No, at this point, whenever I do a session on Discord, and I do Discord session to my clients, to my other students, I mean, this is something I do all the time. A common question is, wait, hold on, Jay, if you want to talk, I always have Zoom. You definitely have it. Not a problem at all. The thing about Discord is that it's the same thing, but it just makes it easy for you. That's it. You can simply say that, what, guys, Zoom, you have to share link, you have to share passwords, you have to share all those things. No problem. You simply create a voice channel. So whenever there is a talking where something you have to do like audio based, I don't think there's a video channel or something. I think it's only voice based. So which means you still need to use Zoom if you want to see each other's faces. But a lot of times students, right, maybe you don't need to see or something. It's okay, just voice only. So for that, you can just use the voice channel. So just like regular channels with the chatting thing, in voice channel also, you can go ahead, decide permissions, some voice channels, anybody can join. Some voice channels, people can join, but they can't talk. Other voice channels, they can't see it at all. Only those who are invited can join and talk. And also voice channels can be deleted, activated, unactivated. So if there's a meeting at 8 p.m., only at 8 p.m., the voice channel is activated. When there is no session, it can be switched off. So there's no hassle of sending and sharing Zoom links or something. But of course, it is audio only. So if there's something that needs face-to-face like this one, you will still have to use Zoom for face-to-face communication. So that's another nice feature I like about voice channel. It's good, it's like a talking version of a chat channel. Professor Watson, does that make sense? Do you understand? Does it make sense why you might be using? Okay, very good. So the whole thing is convenience, guys. Now, please understand. The thing about software is everybody is doing what somebody else is doing. Like, for example, a lot of people are like, okay, you have TikTok, and then in YouTube, you have YouTube Shorts. So there you go. It's the same thing. It's really the same thing. TikTok is doing it. So Google is like, oh, no, we have to do it. Oh, let's do it. And then Instagram has the same thing. I think Instagram is called Reels or something. So there you go. Everybody is trying to do everything. So if you really want to talk, you can just keep using Skype, Zoom. Nobody's going to stop you. Or you can even use WhatsApp groups or something. So there you go. So really, it's all about convenience. It's about finding out which software works best for your situation. So according to me, for a student situation, Discord really, really kind of makes sense in my opinion, but your opinions might be different. But the features are there and how it works. So again, these are all included in the free options. So again, these are not premium features or something. These are actually free features. Now let's go back to my slide here, and then let's go ahead and talk about this one. So next thing is, now this is kind of important, mainly because okay, so once again, let's imagine a scenario. So the thing about when you have something happening in a group, ultimately the server owner should be in a position to manage things. Like in a ideal world, how people say utopia or something, everything will go according to plan. But that is not the world we live in, though. We live in a kind of a dangerous world. So there must always be some controls to control people. That's just how it works. So again, in Discord, you have a lot of such features. One thing is you can decide who can join. And even after joining a server, You can decide who has access to what channels. So as I said, there can be secret channels which you can't see, but only you can see after you have joined and all that. And obviously, there are a lot of ready to use tools to control any sort of abuse as well. Now, you must understand in a group scenario, there are always some people, especially in an online situation, where folks might decide to take advantage of the online thing. Like, for example, sharing some obscene material or unnecessarily shouting or screaming and things like that in the voice channel. So there are so many kind of bizarre and unusual behavior which happens in real life groups as well. You always have that one guy who is like very short tempered and gets angry and starts shouting at everybody, stuff like that happens. So that is where you have the user management and so on and so forth. So in Discord, you have these options where you can kind of stop a person from not sending any messages for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. You have options to report users who are abusive or something. You have options to completely ban somebody from joining. And now, of course, this is an online thing, so they can always create a new account and come back and so on. But then again, if somebody is like coming back with fake accounts, you can simply lock down the entire server. So only those who you verify as a student or a member, only they will be given the permission to come in and participate in the group activities. So this is again a very important feature, guys, because in real life and digital world and everything, abuse is a real problem. So it's a good thing that Discord has all the features to control such kind of scenarios where things go bad. And the next thing is, of course, I already mentioned scaling. So in the beginning, your group may be small. So maybe you're in the first year of university. You start a small project. You have maybe you and your friend, just 2 people. And then second semester, some 5 more people join. The project is kind of scaling. And then third semester, more people join. And maybe by the time you come to the final semester, maybe you have 50 people or 100 people, or maybe now the university looks at your project and they're like very happy with what you're doing. So that's what I'm calling scaling. Scaling means the Discord server can automatically handle any number of users, no problem. And most of it is free, as I mentioned. The limitations are there, but it really won't matter to a student group or a college group or something. So that's another thing I want the folks who are listening to this to know. So user management, there are a lot of options to manage abuse, report users and things like that. And obviously scaling is very, very easy in Discord as well. I believe this is the last topic I need to speak about. So before I discuss the last topic, Dr. Wazin, sir, any questions, anything which was not clear here?
No, I'm monitoring the chat line very closely. I don't see any questions at that level.
Okay.
And on my end, I'm doing just fine. Thank you again.
Okay. Excellent. So there you go, guys. We have, the discussion is usually for 40-45 minutes. So I think I'm doing good time here. So the last topic for today is going to be about bots and automation. Now, see, this is something which I really like. I'm not saying you don't have bots and automation in Slack and Teams. I think they have it also, but I love Discord primarily because Discord has like a really, really amazing support for automating things and for bots. Now, what are these 2 words? Let's go ahead and define them. Automation, same word that you may have heard in other scenarios, is where you are able to do some things automatically using software and computers. Okay. For example, I'm sure there's a feature in Zoom or something where, oh no, forget Zoom. Let's think of something like your phone. Okay. So if you keep your phone idle, if you don't use it, okay, then after 2 minutes or 5 minutes, the phone will automatically lock itself. Now that is an example of automation because you're working on something, your mind is somewhere. You just keep your phone. You got a message, you reply to it. You got a phone call, you answered it, and then you keep your phone on the side and you're working, you're involved. Can you imagine if that phone locking is not automated? Okay, the phone is burning bright, I don't know if you guys know it, but if any phone, it doesn't matter, even a basic Android phone or an expensive iPhone, if the screen is on, it'll die in like, I don't know, 2 hours. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how expensive the phone is. That's all the battery can do. You know how people are like playing video games and they're like, oh, this is a battery killer. It's true. So, but the thing is, you many times will forget, right? I mean, a phone is just a phone. So you use it and you keep it aside and then you're working. So automation is the phone knows like, okay, 2 minutes, if the phone is not touched or it's not being used, the screen locks itself. Cool, right? That is automation. So Discord has automation for everything. Okay. So once again, let me just go back to my Discord server here. I strongly recommend those of you who are thinking of using Discord, first thing you should do is just go and join the Xbox Discord server. I don't care if you're a gamer or not, just go and see what's happening. See, the companies like Microsoft, Xbox, they have to deal with thousands and thousands of users joining and doing all kind of good and bad activities. So that is where you see they use a lot of bots and automation. For example, you'll see here that things like this. So what happens is when you join a new Discord server, the server automation features, they will tell you to do some things like you have to send a message or you have to solve a puzzle or you have to click some links. These are all steps that you have to do. Like how sometimes you visit a website and you click on submit, you'll get like a captcha, like, type the letters, type the numbers, select some bicycle or something like that. Again, that is automation, right? That is automation. Same thing here. So Discord has features ready-made to control, bots and spam and things like that. Now, this is really, really useful. Okay, so once you do those steps, automatically the users will be sent to the right channels. They'll be given the right permissions. For example, again, Dr. Walton decide to use Discord or something, they can create some kind of automation, like a student enters some university ID or student ID or something, and automatically, because the university ID and things like that are unique and nobody else knows other than the student, then maybe once they enter those details, automatically they are shown the channels, given some permissions and things like that. See, that is called automation. And why is that important? See, it is important because, if you have a small group, like 5 people, 10 people, no problem. You can sit and give permissions to each person yourself. But imagine a university where you have to manage 100,000 or even 10,000 students, or something like Xbox, where you have to handle thousands of people from all over the world. You can't individually start assigning permissions, checking for things, checking for spam, checking for abuse, checking for all kind of problems manually. That is impossible, even if you have lots of money. So that is another reason, I really like Discord, because many of the apps can be automated. The same thing with bots. Bots is nothing but AI, guys. So for example, let's say, Dr. Walton is doing these workshops and then students join Discord server. So if you want to, automation will give them permissions and everything. But what if there are some questions? Okay. So when you have a workshop or something, usually there are some common questions like, okay, when is the next workshop? I want to know more about the tutor. I want to know what was the last workshop. I want to know where are the videos recorded. So there are all these common questions. So what Discord does is it has these bots, which are like AI kind of thing. So every Discord server, you can install like a bot. If you don't know how to do it, no problem, guys. You can go online, find some Discord developer, and they can build these things in a very short amount of time. So the bot can answer, like customer service or something, common questions, like when is the next workshop, who is the tutor, where is the video, stuff like this. So what does this do? These things, maybe the student is emailing the professor, maybe they're calling the admission department or something like that. It's a total waste of time. The Discord bot can go ahead and answer these common questions.